Small towns often have their secret stories passed down through generations that are meant to warn, frighten, or simply entertain. But sometimes, these stories are more than just folklore. This is the story of a group of friends who experienced something so terrifying that it changed their lives forever. What happened to them one fateful night has remained a mystery, one that still haunts the town to this day. It was a summer evening when Chris, Emily, Jake, and Sarah decided to meet up for a night of fun. They had grown up together in this small town, and with little to do, they often found themselves searching for adventure in the surrounding woods. This night was no different. After a quick stop at the local diner, they set out to explore an abandoned house that sat on the outskirts of town, one that had a reputation for being haunted. The house, known as the Old Bishop House, had been vacant for as long as anyone could remember. The locals whispered about strange occurrences, lights flickering in the windows, shadows moving inside when no one was there, and the chilling sound of a child's laughter echoing through the night. But like many young people, the group of friends didn't believe in ghosts or curses. They were looking for a thrill, a chance to prove their bravery. As they approached the house, the air seemed to grow colder, and a thick fog began to roll in. They all felt a sense of unease but laughed it off, convincing themselves it was just their imagination. The front door creaked open as if inviting them inside. The interior was just as they expected, dusty, filled with cobwebs, and eerily silent. They wandered through the rooms, making jokes and pretending to be scared. But as they moved deeper into the house, the atmosphere began to change. In one of the upstairs bedrooms, they found a series of old photographs scattered across the floor. Each picture showed the same family, parents with their 2 children. The father's face was always obscured, either by a shadow or some kind of distortion in the photo. The more they looked, the more unnerving the images became. Suddenly, Sarah gasped. One of the photos showed a figure standing in the background, barely visible through a window. It wasn't any of the family members they were all accounted for in the picture. The figure was tall, dressed in dark clothing, and seemed to be staring directly at the camera. The group dismissed it as a trick of the light, but an uneasy feeling settled over them. They decided it was time to leave. As they made their way downstairs, they heard a loud bang, followed by the sound of footsteps coming from above them. They froze, their hearts pounding. Chris tried to rationalize it, saying it was probably just an animal or the house settling. But deep down, they all knew something wasn't right. Back outside, they tried to shake off the feeling of being watched, but it lingered. As they walked back to town, they noticed something strange. The fog seemed to be following them, growing thicker with every step. Then, out of nowhere, Emily screamed. She pointed to a figure standing on the edge of the woods, just beyond the tree line. It was the same tall figure from the photo. The group broke into a run, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They didn't stop until they reached the safety of town. Once there, they tried to rationalize what had happened. Maybe it was a prank, or perhaps their minds were playing tricks on them. But deep down, they knew it was something more, something they couldn't explain. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Chris found scratches on his bedroom window, as if something had tried to claw its way inside. Emily kept hearing whispers at night, even though she lived alone. Jake's dog, normally calm and friendly, refused to go near the woods, barking frantically whenever they got close. And Sarah, the most skeptical of the group, started seeing the tall figure in her dreams, always watching, always waiting. One night, Jake didn't show up for work. His friends tried calling him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Worried, they decided to check on him. When they arrived at his house, they found the door unlocked and the lights off. Inside, the house was eerily quiet. There was no sign of Jake, no indication of where he might have gone. The only clue was his dog, who was cowering under the bed, whimpering. As they searched the house, they found a series of scratches on the walls, leading from Jake's bedroom to the front door. The same claw marks that Chris had found on his window. Panic set in. They knew something was wrong, but they had no idea what to do. They went to the police, but without any evidence of foul play, there was little that could be done. Jake was officially listed as missing, but the group knew he was gone, taken by whatever had been stalking them since that night at the old Bishop house. The group was terrified. They stopped going out at night, kept their windows locked, and avoided the woods at all costs. But no matter what they did, the feeling of being watched never went away. One by one, the remaining friends began to experience sleep paralysis, waking up in the middle of the night unable to move, with the tall figure standing at the foot of their beds. Each time, it got closer, until one night, Chris didn't wake up at all. Emily and Sarah were the only ones left. They decided to leave town, hoping that putting distance between them and Willow Creek would keep them safe. But on the night before they were set to leave, Emily disappeared. Her car was found abandoned at the edge of the woods, the driver's side door hanging open. There was no sign of a struggle, no indication of where she had gone. Sarah, now the last one left, fled the town in a panic, never looking back. She moved to a new city, changed her name, and tried to start over. But even in her new life, the nightmares continued. She knew that one day, the tall figure would come for her too. The story of what happened to Chris, Emily, Jake, and Sarah has become a local legend in their small town. Some believe they were victims of a vengeful spirit, others think it was something far worse, an entity that preys on fear and never stops hunting its chosen victims. To this day, the old Bishop house remains abandoned, a place of darkness that no one dares to enter. And those who do speak of the tall figure in the woods, always watching, always waiting. What happened to them might be a mystery, but one thing is certain, whatever it was, it's still out there, waiting for its next victim. Subscribe for more stories that will keep you up at night.